Hello, everyone. I came across another release I actually enjoy and I think has quite a bit of objective merit as well from the 20 Buck Spin record label. This one is a band called Lunar Chamber, and the release is called Shambhallic Vibrations. This is a release that kind of reflects the vibe that you would get from a band like Lycathia Flame, where it reflected that of a journey. It was kind of like Wayfarer's music, and that is not common in death metal. Death metal kind of has a static vibe going for it because it's about finality. You're not really trying to reflect a journey in death metal. So when it comes across as a weird dichotomy like it does in Lycathia Flame, on paper it shouldn't work, but that band found a way to do so. And back when I first heard it, at the turn of the century, when it came out, it, to me, on paper, just seemed like a band that was copying the aesthetics and techniques of Nihil and Cryptopsy and just kind of smashing them together. But after sitting down with it for a while, I realized it was more of a spiritual event, which was really cool to behold. And that doesn't happen a whole lot in death metal and metal in general. And that was the only release they put out, and they have had rumors circulating about reforming, never quite happened. This band copies, well, I wouldn't say copy, it reminds me of the elements of that kind of music where it's like a Wayfarer's death metal. And I know that sounds really weird, but it really does reflect that of a journey, of a spiritual event, of a pilgrimage. And there's only a few bands that remind me of that, like maybe a band like Orphaned Land has the same kind of vibe. But for this band, who seems to be pretty young guys, to have that as an influence, I don't know if it's happenstance or what. There are elements that directly remind me of that. Lycathia Flame would occasionally use clean vocals as a transitional element between like frenzied passages, and that happens here. And it's the same kind of like timbre in the vocal register when it happens. There's also kind of a frantic change between minor and major kind of melodies, and sometimes that could take you a little bit out of the death metal spirit, but here that dichotomy works. There's a lot of emotional climaxes here, and there's a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a reliance, but a texturing from keyboards that is also common to a band like Lycathia Flame. And there's a little bit of a dungeon synth kind of vibe too, which I do enjoy. And it's not just a texture that you hear underneath guitars, but it will frame the song. It will actually give you the melody the song is based on. But on the whole, this band isn't like a ripoff of Lycathia Flame. It's just a starting point for the vibe they're trying to get across. To me, I'm hearing a lot of both eras of Decrepit Birth, where you have like that unique leadery kind of sound, like all those bands toward the end of the last century, and also what they did in the later part of their career, where it was essentially like individual thought patterns on steroids. There's that here, especially with the solos. There's a couple things that might take a death metal fan out of the experience. Like there is a lot of fretless bass, and it has like a growly, rumbly tone, which I think is cool. A lot of people might take offense from that. And there is, unfortunately, a Schuldiner-esque kind of compositional style here, where instead of there being a thread that unites a lot of this material, there is just kind of a collection of riffs that does have a vibe that makes sense as the songs progress, but there's a lot of stopping and introducing new themes. And I get that that's kind of a young songwriter's trope that happens. And hopefully as they progress, they find a way to tie it all together, because the riffs themselves are very strong. They're unique. It feels like the band has a cohesive statement they're making with them. Like when I hear this band, I hear a projection of the personalities of the members, and that is cool. You don't get that a lot, and if you do, it's usually empty people that are putting that on display. But these people don't seem like empty fucking modern husks of guys. It seems like there's something they want to say here. I don't quite know what it is, and I like that, because similar to the experience that I had with first encountering death metal, you're bombarded with a language that you can catch the vibe from. You can hear the anger, you can hear the emotion, but it's esoteric enough where it'll close the door on normies, but it'll allow people that want to seek something that has more depth to it. It'll allow them to have the keys to enter the realm they're trying to project. That's what you have here. I know that this is the kind of music that is going to be alienating for people that just want to hear standard tech death or, shit with slam in it, and some of that is referenced here, but there is more of something that is inherent to just their own direction that you don't get from a whole lot of bands that's going on here. So I definitely recommend checking this out. It's only like 27 minutes. So it's Rain and Blood, but it's an EP. But hopefully when they do come up with a full length, that it'll be a little bit more cohesive. The last track has a lot of their best riff ideas, but it's kind of a lumbering mess in terms of composition. And they do manage to bring in themes, elaborate on the themes, but some of it is just very haphazardly laid out. And that's something that comes with time, trying to harness the vision that you have in your head. Hopefully they concentrate less on dazzling the listener and more on trying to get their message across in a concise way. But on the whole, I think this is definitely worth checking out. Very impressive debut release, and I'm very intrigued to hear what they do in the future. So thanks for listening.